feelings behind it. They're hoping, praying you'll be the one to break first. This is when you have to hold your ground, because the moment you break the second, you reach out to see if they're really fine. You give them exactly what they wanted. It's like handing them the reins again, surrendering their power of your silence. Right now, that silence is working on them, even if they refuse to show it. But it only works if you let it do its job. Once you give in, you're back to square one, and they know they've got you their indifference. It's just a flimsy wall, one they're hiding behind, hoping you won't see the cracks forming behind that mask. Your absence is starting to press down on them, little by little. They might not even realize it yet, but they're beginning to feel it, that emptiness you left it settling in slowly, but surely, and they're beginning to feel it, and they're starting to realize that filling that void isn't as simple as pretending they don't care. They're in a silent panic, hoping you won't notice their vulnerability, their growing discomfort. It's a quiet struggle, but one that's building pressure. With each day you stay silent, and here's where the real test begins for you. It's tempting to think silence is just waiting around, but that's only half of it. The power of silence is at its peak, when you're not just waiting but actively building yourself, growing, shaping your life, instead of staring at your phone, wondering when they'll finally realize what they've lost focus on yourself. Each day you put energy into your own growth, into your own life, is a day you get stronger, and that's something they'll feel if they love you. This silence will draw out those feelings, the strength you're showing by staying silent, by growing instead of waiting, will become impossible for them to ignore. They'll feel it even if they don't understand it right away. The mask of indifference will start to feel heavy, uncomfortable, like an outfit that no longer fits, and they'll find it harder and harder to pretend. They'll start to feel a pull, a desire to reach out to you, to reconnect, because your silence has become a force they can't overlook. But what if they don't care? What if the mask is all they have, and there's nothing underneath? Well, then this silence is revealing that truth. If they're truly indifferent, if they can continue without you unfazed, then let it become clear now that clarity is worth more than any false comfort, because the last thing you need is to pour your energy, your love into someone who can't value you unless you're right in front of them. As Marcus Aurelius said, it is not events that disturb people. It is their judgments concerning them. If they're unmoved by your absence, then let that judgment stand. Let it guide you forward, away from someone who doesn't see your worth. So here's your reminder. Stay focused on yourself. Let their mask of indifference be just that, a mask. Don't let it shake you. Don't let it shake you. Don't let it pull you back. This is your time to build, to grow, to shape a life that doesn't hinge on someone else's attention. If they miss you, they'll come back in their own time, on their own terms. And if they don't, then they've freed up space in your life for someone who will truly value you. Affirm this to yourself. I am unshaken by their indifference. I am building my own strength and worth. Say it out loud. Write it down. Make it yours every time doubt creeps in. Remind yourself of it. You're becoming stronger, more resilient every day. And let's stay connected on this journey, because the layers only get deeper from here. This mask of indifference won't hold up forever, and soon enough the truth will start sealing through in ways they can't ignore. There's a lot more to uncover, and we're just getting started. Now we enter a heavier stage, the weight of regret. At first they try to brush it off, hide their feelings, but now your silence is hitting them, really hitting them like a wave they can't escape. They start to see the emptiness, the void you left behind, and regret sneaks in like a shadow. They can't shake it. It's no longer about pretending they don't care. It's about realizing that maybe, just maybe, they've made a mistake. They can't undo. Imagine them replaying every memory, every opportunity they had to appreciate you, every moment they brushed you aside. It's like standing on a cliff, looking back at everything they took for granted. They're haunted by those choices now, and they realize with a sinking feeling that each careless action, each time they disrespected you, is costing them more than they anticipated. As the philosopher Seneca put it, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Right now, they're feeling the end of what they had with you, and it's sinking in. They won't say it out loud, and they'll never admit it to anyone, but they're feeling the sting of losing something. Real regret doesn't announce itself. It seeps in quietly, slowly, like a shadow following them everywhere they go, and the longer you stay silent, the stronger it grows. This isn't about missing you. It's about recognizing that they had something valuable, something irreplaceable, and they let it slip through their fingers. Now, most people, when they reach this stage, try to push the regret away. They'll keep up their front, keep acting indifferent, but inside they're feeling the weight of their actions. They're thinking about every chance they had to treat you better, to keep you close, to value you, and each memory stings. They're wrestling with their pride, their guilt, the realization that they've lost control, and that loss is more painful than they imagined. This is where you might feel sympathy. You might feel sympathy. You might feel the urge to reach out, to let them know you understand, to ease their pain. But remember, this is their journey, not yours. They need to feel this regret, this emptiness, to fully understand what they've lost. Stepping in now, even with good intentions, would only take away the weight of what they're experiencing. Regret has its place, and sometimes people need to sit with it to feel its full weight, to understand the value of what they've lost. So take a deep breath and hold on to this affirmation. I am worth more than their regret. I choose myself over anyone's temporary feelings. Say it out loud. Let it sink in. You're not here to rescue them from the consequences of their actions. Their regret is theirs to carry, and your strength is yours to build. Stay with me on this path, because we're still only halfway there. Regret is powerful, but it's only the beginning of what they'll feel. Their journey doesn't stop here. And as the regret deepens, they're forced to confront even more truths. They can no longer hold tight, because there's still so much more to come, and the journey is far from over. And if you're still here, if you felt these words resonate with your own experience, take a moment to let me know where you're at on this journey. Have you taken that leap into silence, or are you still holding on, wrestling with doubts? Drop a keep it up in the comments if you're staying strong, because this journey is just as much about building yourself as it is about them realizing what they've lost. Stay tuned, because we're not done yet. The next phase is about facing the masks, the substitutes, and what happens when they try to fill the void you left behind. There's more to uncover, so let's keep going. All right, let's keep moving deeper into this journey. So now they're feeling that weight of regret. But instead of facing it, instead of really sitting with that discomfort, they might try a shortcut. And what do? They start looking for someone new. They're hoping to fill the gap you left, to replace that presence with a quick fix. This stage can be hard for you to witness, especially if they're flaunting it, making it seem like they've moved on effortlessly, as if you were just another chapter. They can flip through, but don't let it fool you. This isn't about moving on. It's about escaping. Imagine it like putting a bandage over a wound that runs deep. They're not healing. They're covering it up, hoping a new connection will numb the ache. They're looking for a distraction, for something, anything that makes them forget. But that's all it is. A distraction. The presence of someone else can't replace the presence they lost with you. And deep down, they know it. They're using this person as a mask to avoid facing their own feelings, hoping that if they stay busy, if they keep moving, The emptiness you left won't catch up with them. This attempt to replace you is more of a coping mechanism than a real connection. They're trying to convince themselves, and maybe even you, that they're fine, that they're happy, that they've moved on. But real connection isn't something you can swap out like an accessory. It's not about finding someone new, just to fill a void when we lose something meaningful. Our first instinct is often to find a substitute, something that fills the space without requiring us to change to grow. But it's like trying to fit a puzzle piece that doesn't belong. It might look all right from a distance, but up close, they can feel the emptiness it's covering up. They might go out more, post on social media, and show off their new connections as if they're living their best life. But remember, this isn't about you. It's about their inability to sit with their own discomfort. They're hiding behind this show, hoping to convince themselves that they've moved past you. But it's just that show, and the deeper truth. You can't replace something real with something temporary. They're putting up a front, hoping to shield themselves from the sting of regret. But inside, they're struggling with the emptiness that knew. Faces and temporary distractions can't cure seeing this. You might start questioning your own worth. You might wonder if you meant anything at all, if it's that easy for them to replace you. But remember, this isn't a reflection of you. It's a reflection of their fear. They're afraid of facing the void you left behind. They're afraid of the silence. So instead of confronting it, they run to someone new, hoping that person can fill a space that only you once occupied. If you need an affirmation, keep this one close. I am irreplaceable. My value cannot be duplicated or substituted. Say it with conviction. Every time doubt tries to creep in, this journey is about uncovering the truth. And right now, their actions are revealing that they're not ready to face it. Some people would rather cover their pain with a temporary fix than confront the real loss. They'll hide behind someone new, hoping the emptiness will fade, but it never truly does. And if they don't come to this realization on their own, then you'll know deep down they were never capable of valuing you fully in the first place. So you hold on to that affirmation. You remind yourself that their actions don't define your worth. If they're running to someone new, let that be their journey, their coping mechanism, their distraction, because the truth of a real connection, it can't be swapped out. And every time they try, every time they look to someone else to fill the gap, they're reminded of what they lost. It's like trying to cover a wound without letting it heal, and no matter how much they try to ignore it, the ache of that emptiness will follow them. As the philosopher Alan Debon once put it, people only get truly interesting when they start to rattle the bars of their cages. But instead of breaking free from the cage of their own denial, they're staying inside it, hoping that a new face will distract them from the truth. They're avoiding that discomfort, refusing to see the value of what they lost. And that's their journey to take, not yours. Now, we're moving to a new phase, the unraveling. This is when things start to break down for them, and reality begins to set in. At first, they thought they could keep going as if nothing changed, but without the stability you provided, without the constant reassurance of your presence, their world starts to crack you. See, you weren't just someone who showed up, you were their anchor, their constant, the foundation they unknowingly leaned on. And now that foundation is gone, and the cracks are beginning to show. It's as if they're trying to hold water in their hands, but no matter how tightly they squeeze it, slips away at this point. They may feel like they're holding things together, but beneath the surface, it's all coming undone. And the distractions they use to fill the void, they're starting to feel empty, meaningless. They're realizing that the world they created without you isn't as solid as they once thought. In the quiet, at moments, they start feeling that emptiness even more. Their friendships might start feeling hollow, or their daily routines lose their meaning. There's a sense of restlessness, a lack of focus, because they no longer have that sense of stability you brought into their life. You grounded them even if they never appreciated it. And now, they're lost floating, trying to find their footing without that anchor. This is when they start to feel the full weight of their choices. When they're forced to confront the mess they created, their world is beginning to crumble piece by piece, and there's no distraction strong enough to keep the emptiness at bay. They start to feel as if something's missing, and that something was you. It's the quiet realization that the stability they once took for granted is gone, and they're left to face the consequences. It's easy to feel sympathy at this stage, to feel the urge to step back in and help to be that support again. But remember, this is their journey. They need to experience this unraveling, this realization, without you swooping in to save them. This is the only way they'll understand the full weight of what they lost. Stepping in now would only take away the clarity. They're starting to gain hold on to this affirmation. I am the stability they lost, but my strength is my own. Remind yourself of this whenever you feel the urge to help. Then, to ease their pain, they need to face this journey alone, to experience the reality of their actions without the safety net you once provided. This is your time to grow, to stand tall, to become stronger than ever. We're getting closer to the heart of this journey, and the truth is about to reveal itself even more. There's still more to come as they continue to feel the weight of your absence, as their world continues to crumble. So hold on, because this isn't over yet. The real understanding, the full impact of what they lost is still waiting for them, and soon enough they won't be able to ignore it. Stay tuned, because as they struggle in the silence, the final truths will begin to unfold, and their real feelings will come to the surface in ways they can't hide. Let's continue, absolutely. Let's bring this journey to its final stages. This is where the silence becomes a force. They can no longer ignore a void that keeps growing, a realization that finally sinks in. They've tried to mask it, to run from it, to distract themselves. But now all those defenses are fading, and all those defenses are fading, and they're left in silence. A silence that feels like a void, a hollow space that they can't fill. Imagine it like this. They are alone with nothing but the echo of your absence, and it's starting to become deafening. The connections they tried to create, the people they used as substitutes, the shows they put on to appear fine. None of it can touch the emptiness they feel now. There's no escaping the ache, the awareness that they had something precious, something irreplaceable, and they let it slip away. This void, it's not the loud, dramatic kind of pain. It's a quiet, relentless ache that only deepens with time. It's a reminder every single day of what they lost at first. They thought they could just push past it, that it would fade, but now each day, without you, brings them closer to a truth they can't ignore. They're struggling in a space where your presence once was. No matter where they turn, they're met with a sense of emptiness, a reminder of what they threw away. Picture them lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling with no messages lighting up their phone. No comforting reminder of your care. It's in these quiet moments, these still pauses, where they feel it the most. It's when they're alone, stripped of all the distractions, that the ache of your absence grows strongest. They might try to cover it up, keep busy, but this silence is everywhere, following them around, a constant reminder of what they let slip through their fingers. And here's where you might feel tempted to reach out, to ask if they're all right, to ease their pain just a bit. But remember, this silence is their journey, not yours. They need to feel this void fully to understand the weight of their choices. Without you stepping in, saving them from this silence would only take away the lesson that they need to learn if they truly cared, if they truly valued you. This silence is going to resonate with them. It's going to dig deep, stirring up feelings they tried to bury, feelings they can no longer ignore. If there was love there, real love, this void will push them to face it. They'll start to realize they lost something they can't find in anyone else. But if they don't care if they can make it through this silence, unaffected then. That clarity, that understanding is a gift to you. It shows you they were never as invested as you were. And that freedom will allow you to move forward with full confidence. Hold on to this affirmation. My silence speaks of my strength, and worth say it. Every time you feel tempted to reach out to fill that void for them, your silence isn't a weakness. It's a powerful choice, a decision to respect yourself, enough to step back and let them face the reality of what they created now. We're approaching the end, the breaking point. After all the masks, all the distractions, all the attempts to fill the void they've arrived at, a moment where they can no longer ignore the truth. They face a choice, confront what they've lost, take responsibility and grow, or stay trapped in denial, letting regret weigh them down indefinitely. For some, this is where the pain becomes overwhelming. They spiral, weighed down by guilt, by the loss of something they now realize was irreplaceable. They start to see that the regret, the emptiness, the ache isn't going away. It's a permanent feeling, a constant reminder of what they let go. Every attempt to move past it only brings them back to the same realization they lost something, something they'll never find again. Others, however, may choose a different path. They might finally see your absence as a wake-up call, as a moment of clarity. They're hit with a realization that maybe, just maybe, they have a chance to confront what they lost, to understand where they went wrong, to become a better version of themselves. It's like reaching a fork in the road. They can either let the regret consume them or use it as a moment of growth. This is where Marcus Aurelius's words ring true: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way your silence was. Their obstacle, their wake-up call, forcing them to choose either to evolve or to remain stagnant. If they break through, it's because they've allowed themselves to learn from their mistakes. If they break down, it's because they're unwilling to face the truth of their own actions. And here's the beauty of this final stage. Whichever path they choose, you're no longer tied to it. You've done your part by stepping back, by letting them face their own reality. Their journey, their growth, or lack thereof, is no longer your responsibility. You've given them the space to confront themselves, to grow, or to stay the same. But you've grown. You've reclaimed your strength, your worth, your independence. So for this final affirmation, take a deep breath and say, I am free. Now, you're stepping into a new chapter 1, where your value isn't dependent on someone else's recognition, where your strength isn't defined by anyone's approval. You've come out of this journey with clarity, confidence, and a new understanding of your own worth. Whether they realize what they lost or not, you've gained something far more valuable: self, respect, strength, and independence. And as you move forward, you're free to create a life that reflects the true worth you've always held. This journey wasn't easy, but look at where you are now. You're stronger, wiser, and ready for a future that honors your growth. As we wrap up, take a moment to let this sink in. Your silence, your strength. Your journey has shown you what you're truly capable of. You've set boundaries that reflect your worth, and whether they wake up to what they've lost or not, you've gained something priceless. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to share it to spread the power of self-worth and resilience. And before you go, let us know in the comments. Are you ready to embrace a new chapter of independence? Or are you open to new connection that truly reflect your value? Let us know, and remember, you've come so far. And this is only the beginning. The freedom, the fulfillment you deserve is right here, ready for you to claim it. Welcome back to a discussion about true inner strength. The kind of strength that's not loud or showy, but truly influential. I'm referring to that silent, steady determination that communicates so much. Without a single spoken word. You've put in enormous effort, right? You've made huge sacrifices, put your own needs last, and delayed your personal goals, all to demonstrate your value to them. You've done all you could to support them, wishing they would finally realize your importance to them. You've consistently gone the extra mile, always available, prepared to abandon anything at any time. You've been their constant support, always agreeing, never requesting anything back. You've given endless kindness, hoping they would eventually notice, value it, and care. But how did they respond? They treated you like you were easily replaceable, unimportant, an afterthought. They took every bit of your care and kindness and threw it away without a second thought. They took advantage of you, treating your faithfulness and dedication as duties, not precious gifts. You attempted everything to fix the situation, discussing it, explaining your perspective, perhaps even pleading for a small amount of respect. You tried to get their attention, but every time you did, you felt even more unseen. It was like they couldn't or wouldn't recognize your worth. The more you gave, the more you felt like you were disappearing. They seemed to become uncaring about you, ignoring your feelings. The harder you tried to connect, the less they seemed to care. Eventually, you understood that things wouldn't change. Your only remaining choice was to stop trying. You decided to withdraw, to become quiet, and to stop trying to be part of their lives. You stopped contacting them, stopped reminding them that you were there. You essentially disappeared, leaving only silence. And that silence was louder, stronger than any words you could have spoken. Now they are facing a world without you, a world where the comfort they once expected is gone. They may pretend everything is fine in public, acting as if nothing is different, but privately, the silence is hurting them. Every moment, you're not there. Every missing message from you reminds them of what they've lost. When they're alone, they're troubled by your absence, by the empty space you left behind. They might even want to contact you, to talk, even to weep. But their ego stops them, leaving them trapped in silent remorse. They keep thinking about the past, thinking back on times you were undervalued. You see those memories differently now that it's over. They might appear happy publicly, but privately, they're struggling with the painful understanding of their loss. This quietness is your tool, your control. Repeat after me. Silence is my superpower. Say it strongly. Quietness isn't a flaw, it's your advantage, the strongest statement you can make. They will notice. Believe me, as the wise thinker, Epictetus said, decide who you want to be, then act accordingly. This time is about you, finding your inner strength. So declare it. Silence is my superpower. Stay with me. We're just starting. I'll show you how potent silence can be, how it can reverse things and make them face the emptiness they feel without you. We'll explore how silence changes everything, making them see the hole you filled and regret what they lost. But before we focus on them, let's discuss something that might be troubling you. I know you cared for them, perhaps still do, despite the pain and how they ignored you like a bad habit. That affection is hard to release, and because of it, you might be worried they'll simply move on, that your silence won't affect them. You understand, don't you, that fear? Being ignored, feeling cast aside, it's truly heartbreaking. But let me tell you something important. They haven't really left. not emotionally. Anyway, they may pretend everything is okay, acting as if your silence doesn't bother them, as if they're perfectly happy without you. But underneath that act, a turmoil is brewing. They feel your absence much more deeply than they'll ever let on, even if they act indifferent. This quiet period has communicated more than words ever could. Honestly, if they can't recognize your value during this silence, if they don't feel the loss, they never truly appreciated you to begin with. Do you really need someone who constantly needs to be reminded of your importance? Someone who only realizes what they had when it's almost gone? This silence isn't just a break. It's a trial, a moment of truth for both of you. If they can't see your worth now, that realization is incredibly valuable. Hold on to that understanding. It's empowering. So, stay strong. Let them experience this absence. Believe me, they are already feeling it. If they aren't, then you have your answer. But if they are, they'll begin to understand how much you truly meant to them. This isn't just about being quiet. It's about recognizing your own strength and value. Now comes the part that will affect them the most, the understanding that you're really gone. This is where the weight of your absence truly hits them, where they realize you're no longer there, that you're unavailable. They may still be pretending, acting as if things appear the same, but inside, they sense a change. A good feeling, like comfort and closeness, is fading, becoming lost. Many people would react by giving in to worry and uncertainty. They'd want to contact the other person, just to remind them they're there. Reaching out, breaking the quiet, undoes the strength of staying away. This is a bad move, one we shouldn't make. Silence is about letting them think about their own thoughts, errors, and loneliness. It's not about comforting them with your presence. Each time you break the silence, you give back the control. You work to gain. This isn't the moment to contact them or let them know you're around. This is about giving them the room to truly grasp what they had and feel the full impact of losing it. Another mistake is to just sit around, staring at your phone, wondering if they've noticed your absence. Silence isn't about that. It's about using the energy you used to spend on them and spending it on yourself. Don't stop your life. Keep going, improving yourself, and getting stronger. See it as a chance to change, to become someone who doesn't just wait, but creates their own future. If they truly care for you, this absence will affect them. It will show them your value in new ways. Your silence is like a planted seed. It will either grow or die. If they care, they'll feel the urge, the pain, the need to contact you. If they don't, then let this silence show you that truth now, not later. You don't want to be with someone who needs constant reminders of your value. As Seneca said, to find a true friend, separate yourself from those who wouldn't be sad to lose you. This is the strength of silence. It reveals true feelings. Someone who truly appreciates you, if they don't show it, are either sad, you're gone, or are moving forward. Either way, it's a good thing for you. You're learning who deserves your time, effort, and affection. Picture yourself standing proud, looking ahead, not behind. You're building a life based on personal power and progress, not needing someone else's approval. As you go on, the good people, those who recognize your value, will see you. The ones who care will make an effort to reconnect. If they don't, you'll understand that leaving was the right choice. Here's a helpful phrase for this part of your experience. I choose myself over their notice. My quietness is my strength. Say it aloud. Write it down if it helps. This is just the start. We don't know now if they really appreciate you or if they'll understand what they lost, but that doesn't matter. This period of quiet is the first step in finding out the truth. The answers will appear soon. Keep going, because each step you take brings you closer to understanding. You're about to see how powerful silence can be. If they appear uncaring, don't be tricked. It's an act, a disguise. We'll talk about that more later. Stay with me. There's more to learn on this path. Okay, let's continue. You've picked silence, and things are starting to happen. But here's where it gets complicated. They might pretend to be indifferent. This is the next phase. Many of us get confused when someone acts completely normal after a relationship ends, as if our absence doesn't bother them at all. They might post happy pictures on social media, spend time with friends, and even talk about how well they're doing. They appear peaceful and undisturbed, like our silence doesn't affect them. However, this appearance of not caring is a fake. It's a way to protect themselves and make us believe they're not hurt. When people lose their usual level of influence or realize they're no longer the most important person in our lives, they put up walls. They're pretending, trying to show us that our absence doesn't matter. It's like a card game where they're hiding their hand, not showing any vulnerability, and hoping we'll be the first to give in and contact them. They want us to think they're okay, but this indifference is just a performance, a mask hiding their true feelings, a mask hiding their true feelings. This often leads people to make mistakes. Seeing the other person seemingly unbothered makes us doubt ourselves. We might think we should contact them, that we were wrong, or that they're truly happy without us. But the reality is that their indifference is a strategy, a primary defense mechanism when they feel like they're losing control. They're pretending they don't need us, trying to convince themselves as much as they're trying to convince us. As the wise Epictetus said, difficult situations don't create a person's character. They reveal it. Our absence, our silence is showing something about them that they don't want to confront. So, rather than dealing with their feelings, they hide them. They wear this mask of indifference, hoping you'll crack, that you'll reach out, give them back that sense of security and control. Imagine it a shield they're holding up to block their own.